Iconic sports talk show host Jim Rome has become a much-needed voice in horse racing.
We love the horses. I'm fascinated by the animal. I think the species is incredible. They're brilliant, they're beautiful. And you get a horse like that. I mean, see, that's the thing. I love them all. I love them all the same. It could be a stakes horse, it could be an allowance horse, it could be a climber. They're just wonderful animals. Then you get around Miz, man, and just blown away. I've never been around an athlete quite like that. She's so proud and so mean and so competitive. I'm actually awed by the horse. She's my favorite athlete ever.
Mizdirection already had Rome over the moon with her 3 victories in 2012. And that was before she put the cherry on top by defeating the boys in the biggest race of her career, the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint.
In terms of the Breeders' Cup, I mean, winning that day, just being in the gate for that race was one of the highlights of my life.
And away they go.
Just to even get to a race like that, because for so long, I couldn't even get to a stake race, much less win one. Other than the day I married my wife and the birth of my 2 kids, I mean, it literally was the most spectacular and surreal day of my life.
Mizdirection's now dropped back 9 lengths off the leaders.
And the reason is we've got so much invested in the horse emotionally, financially, mentally. I mean, it's almost like your child. And I was so proud of her. She'd never run against boys. She'd never even run in a G1. And to see her come running from 10 back, it's almost indescribable. I can't even find the words to describe how good that felt.
Unbridled note in the goal cap is coming flying as well, and Mizdirection. Mizdirection unbridled note. Mizdirection to win it, and Mizdirection came storming home to win it.
Before we got to the wire, we were high-fiving and jumping up and down. It was awesome. It was a surreal experience.
She can come off the lead. She can come from way back. She can win from the lead. So I mean, that day was like a cardiac kid kind of day. But you know, in the Monrovia, she stayed pretty close.
Mizdirection chasing gamely on the outside. Kendall holding on to the lead. Kendall, Mizdirection, 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 all class up to win it.
In Buena Vista, she went wire to wire.
Mizdirection is just sheer class. And Mizdirection, super stylish, takes it under Mike Smith.
So she can win any number of ways, which is another reason why we love her. It is kind of like a golf experience or an Augusta, beautiful track, the sun's coming up. But I mean, the thing is, the reason my wife and I are in the business primarily is for the horses.
On this particular Saturday morning, Rome was able to watch Mizdirection work on the turf.
He came out strictly to see the filly today, and that's what it's all about for him. He just loves his horses.
Rome is the host of a daily radio and television show, and now he's added a new weekly program on Showtime to his already demanding schedule. Unfortunately, this doesn't permit the sports talk show host to get to the track too often.
You know, in terms of staying in, I text and I'm on the phone with Pipey as much as I can. I text and I'm on the phone with Alex Solis as much as I can. I text, I'm on the phone with my partner Bill Strauss as much as I can. And I watch as much tape as I can, but physically, it's almost impossible for me to get here. You know, it's like only a morning like this where I can spin the Rubik's Cube and set it all up, where I'm not working, the kids don't have a baseball game, and I can come out here.
And for Rome, that's a far cry from where he stood on horse racing a decade ago.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a 180. I mean, my thing back in the day was horse racing is a bet. You know, stop telling me it's a sport, it's a bet. And believe me, it's still a bet. I'm not coming off that point. It's a bet, but it is a sport. It's a beautiful sport with beautiful animals, and I love it. What's more surprising to me is I grew up with horses. I lived in the suburbs of LA, and we owned horses, and I wanted nothing to do with them. They were on my property, and I wouldn't even go down and see them. So the biggest surprise to me is how much I love the horses. But in terms of the sport, you have a proponent and a lifer now. I love the game, and I have no trouble telling people I do.